There's this habit that most people start right after college, one that will make you dependent on working 9 to 5 your whole life. I want you to consider an alternative path for an independent life that will give you more options. I'll tell you about some of the mistakes I made and how you can avoid them. You went to college for many years and it was hard. Maybe you lived in a shared flat and had instant food most of the time. In Germany, students have on average a budget of about 900 euros per month, just enough to cover rent and the basic needs. Now you graduate. You get a decent job. You get your first salary with, let's say, 2,500 euros, almost 3 times as much as you had before. Of course, you'll be like, finally, I can live the real life with the good things. Your own flat, a car, a restaurant, nice vacations. You deserve everything. So what's going to happen? Most people adjust their expenses in proportion to their income. With every promotion, there's something more you can add to your lifestyle. A better apartment, better furniture, better car. This is commonly known as lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. It's a psychological trap. Spending 3 times as much doesn't multiply happiness by 3. On the contrary, it can lead to anxiety because once this lifestyle is implemented, you will have fixed monthly expenses, so you depend on that income. Germans have an average savings rate of about 10%. It's not going to be enough to be independent, ever. It's never going to be easy to say, hey, let me quit my job, hang out for a while, look for something more exciting, or start a business. Or to say, I'd like to live in another country and do something where I can work remotely. There will always be this financial burden and you need a job to cover the fixed monthly costs. So what's the game plan? I'm not going to talk about minimalism and financial freedom, which are very popular topics these days. These concepts don't suit most people. I'm not going to assume that you want to live with the minimum standards your whole life and retire at 40, but I can safely assume that you'd like more financial confidence and more freedom without having to worry about your income. Let me start by defining the goal. Instead of increasing our expenses to match our income, we'll try to maintain a lifestyle that is close to our previous one. We'll still make a marginal increase because there are things that can improve our quality of life at little cost. We aim for a savings rate of roughly 50%. Just imagine, with every year that you work, you buy yourself 1 year of freedom. I don't even take into account profits from investments. Sure, savings should be invested, at least to compensate for inflation. Maintain the savings rate for just 3 years. You'll have a lot more confidence while asking for a raise, looking for a new job, or starting your own business. By far the best way to become wealthy is to start your own business. For people with high fixed monthly expenses and a necessary 9 to 5 job, it's difficult to do that. If you can live from your savings for 3 years, that's a game changer. Even if the first business fails, you can easily recover. You can try again later or work towards another goal. Let me explain how it's possible to achieve a savings rate of about 50%. For that, we should look at the biggest expenses. Number 1 is housing. If your living situation isn't terrible, just stay where you are. If you want to or must leave for some reason, consider a shared flat. It's very expensive to live in your own flat. If you have a partner or a good friend, you can share an apartment. In general, your first apartment should be on the lower end of the cost spectrum. Yeah, maybe smaller and have a few downsides. Who cares? My wife and I bought an apartment a few years ago. We have a savings rate of about 60% and we invest as much as possible. Although we could afford to live in a place that is 3 times as big, we decided not to. I spent more than 90% of my time at home, either in bed, at my desk, or in front of the TV. I don't need more space or things here. If we should decide to have several kids, we can always upgrade depending on our needs. A bigger and nicer place isn't going to increase your happiness significantly. The next biggest expense in a typical household is transportation. Many people want a car. I admit I like the comfort of a car too. If you live in the city and you can avoid a car, maybe it's better not getting used to it in the first place. Continue with public transportation, your bike, and the occasional use of car sharing. This is a huge cost saver. Maybe you can live with a much cheaper alternative like a motorbike. If you want or need a car, that's okay. You can still decide how much you want to invest in that vehicle. Can you live with a small second-hand no-name car with low maintenance costs and low fuel consumption? You can get that at reasonable costs. Unfortunately, in many societies, cars aren't just a means of transportation. They are a lifestyle statement. So instead of buying just a car, we buy into a brand. I made that rash decision some years ago and drove a Porsche for 2 years. Here's what happened. The first 2 weeks were exciting. Then the excitement faded, just like with everything new that you get. What was left were tremendous monthly expenses. What's worse is this: before I got the car, for most people I was the guy who plays the guitar, the space engineer, the guy who performs on the stage. Suddenly, I was only introduced as the Porsche guy. That's not what I wanted for myself. Honestly, I also didn't really appreciate the car as technical marvel itself. So I decided to sell it, and now we drive a basic compact Volkswagen. I've had many students who said to me how much they would like to own a luxury car. Here's my genuine advice: it's not worth the money if you don't appreciate it like a car mechanic or a race car driver. Instead, rent a luxury car for a weekend road trip in a place like Italy. It will be exciting, you'll drive for many hours a day, and it will create a memory that you won't forget. That's a lot more bang for the buck. Then there are other cost factors like food, clothing, consumables, and vacations. I recommend that you define a budget for each of those. Of course, you can eat out in a nice place and take a more expensive vacation occasionally. Buying things and eating expensively just shouldn't become a daily habit without any control of a budget. If you don't like tracking your budget like me, then here's what works too. All investments and savings should be automatically withdrawn from your bank account once per month. On your main bank account, you're only left with what you allow yourself to spend. Over the years, I learned that experiences always outdo material things when it comes to happiness. I think that money is much better invested in everything that creates wonderful memories. None of that has to be expensive. It can be a picnic with friends, a short trip, or an animal that will bring you joy every day. With that being said, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Study Fox. See you soon.